Hello everybody. Today we are going to yes, NCERT Science Lesson number 16 Water a precious resource. Now the first question comes in our mind is what is water? The answer for this is water is one of the most and very useful substance which is essential basically for all existence of all forms of life. Now, the amount of water that is recommended by the United Nations for drinking, cooking, maintaining proper hygiene, or washing is minimum of 50 liters per person. Now, we spread a message of conserving water, natural resources, that there will be nothing if there is no natural resources. Now, every year, 22nd March, we celebrate as World Water Day to attract attention of the people towards the importance of conserving water. And we also believe that if you have water, you can think of future or jal hai to kal hai. The year 2003 was recognized as International Year of Fresh Water. Now let's see some newspaper clippings on World Water Day. Take a look at these clippings. Now, let's know how much water is available for the human consumption or for us. Now, if we take a picture of Earth from outer space, how it appears? It basically appears blue because of presence of water in forms of seas and ocean. Now, many people assume that there is plenty of water all over the earth. But in fact, there is not all water suitable for human consumption. Not even fit for plants or any other forms of life, like from animal kingdom. Now, about 71% of surface of the earth is covered with water. Of the total water present on earth, 94.4% is in the seas and oceans, which is not at all fit for human consumption. Why? Because they are salty. And fresh water is in usable form, which we use basically groundwater. It is present in just a small fraction. Now there are three different forms of solid. Sorry, there are three different forms of water. First is solid. Now snow or ice, which are solid, exists on the earth in the form of ice caps at the poles of the earth. The glaciers and snow-covered mountains and etc. These are the main sources of water on earth. The second form of water is liquid. Water is present in oceans, rivers, lakes, and even underground in the Earth's upper layers. The third form of water is gas. Clouds, known as gas, are found in the form of water vapor present in the atmosphere. On condensation, it turns into droplets and precipitates on Earth in the form of rain. Remember this. On condensation, it turns into droplets and precipitates on Earth's surface in the form of rain. We learned this in class 6. Next comes the groundwater as an important source of water. Now, the tube wells, hand pumps, etc. are the main sources of water, especially those who live in village areas. Now, they basically depend on the groundwater. Now, it is the upper level of groundwater which occupies the space in soil and rocks in form of water table. In this class, we are going to learn about water table. What is water table? How does it work? upper limit of groundwater is called water table. Means where the groundwater is starting is known as water table. It represents the depth of water filled area at the given place. Now, the water table rises and falls depending upon how much of rainwater is seeping, how much groundwater is drowned out for irrigation and industry works. The seeping down of rainwater into the groundwater is called infiltration. This groundwater thus gets recharged by this process only. Next comes at some places now like the groundwater is stored between layers of hard rock below the water table. Now these are known as aquifers, which contains the groundwater that is usable for tube wells and hand pumps. These sources, however, have limited sources of water. They may get exhausted if used excessively. Now, in depletion of water table, do you all know that there is even depletion of water table? Now, water is drawn from underground water. It gets replenished by seepage of rainwater, which is known as infiltration. Now, the water table does not get affected as long as we draw the same amount of water and it is replenished. Means, if we take amount of water and that much amount of water is not being sipped to the ground, then it is causing the depletion of water table. Now, however, there is a number of factors which cause depletion of water table. First is increase in population, industrial and agricultural activities. Now, even scanty rainfall, deforestation may decrease the effective areas for seepage of water, may also deplete the water table. But there is an image given here. Look at the image and try to understand it. Next comes the increasing population. How does that create a problem and depletion of water table? Increasing population, of course, demands more houses, more shops, more offices, and even roads. But this decreases the open areas like parks and playgrounds, which is the most favorite thing for children. And this in turn increases the seepage of rainwater into the ground. Now, so rise in population also increases the use of water, basically groundwater. Now, this results in depletion of groundwater level into alarming low levels in many cities and even basically in villages. Next comes increased industrialization. The water is used by all industries. Almost everything that we use needs water somewhere in its production process. Now, the number of industries is increasing continuously. Most of the water used in the industries is down from groundwater. Now, this results in depletion of water. We can see in the image. Next comes agricultural activities. How agricultural activities is like being a major issue on depletion of water table. Now let's get to know it. A majority of farmers in India depend upon rains for irrigating their crops. Now, if there are irrigation systems like canals, they are there only in few places, and wherever they are, these systems always suffer from lack of water due to erratic rainfall or scanty rainfall, and population pressure on agriculture forces increasing use of groundwater debris. Now, what happens? The people are increasing. Now, if people are increasing, they need food. Basically, in urbanization, they need food. If they are not getting water, if they cannot irrigate their crops, then their crops will die. Then what they need to do? They will use the groundwater. Thus, this results in depletion of water table. Next comes deforestation. A large scale of deforestation is occurred to accommodate the growing population, to grow food for them and provide space for industries. Now, overgrazing by our animals has also destroyed large amount of vegetation. Now, the green coverage of vegetation slows down the flow of water on land and increases absorption of water by the soil. Now, cutting down of trees and vegetation therefore interferes with the natural processes which seepage takes place and the underground water is recharged and causes depletion of water. Now we can see in this image. Okay. Next comes distribution of water. The distribution of water over the globe is quite uneven. Like at some places there are deserts that have scanty rainfall, or some regions have excessive rainfall which cause floods, while other with very little and scanty rainfall causes drought. And next comes India is a vast country and the rainfall is not the same everywhere. Therefore, some regions in our country may have floods while others may suffer from droughts at the same time. Now, water resources in India. Now, India receives a lot of precipitation, rain and snow basically. In comparison to the rest of the world, the average annual precipitation in India is 1170 millimeter as compared to the world's average of 700 millimeter. The rain map of India showing average rainfall in different parts of our country. Now, the darker color is representing the highest rainfall, and the lightest color is showing the lowest rainfall. Basically, the lighter one is, you can see that it is for snowfalls. Next comes water management. In this activity of planning, developing, distributing, or managing the optimism use of water resources. It is a subset of water cycle management. Now, water supply pipes leaking, a lot of water gushing out of pipes are the wastage of water. Now, basically, it is the responsibility of the civic authorities to prevent such wastage of precious water. Now, if you have ever experienced while walking or by going through a vehicle, you might have seen that a pipe is leaking and a lots of water is gushing out of it. It is known basically is said as it is a responsibility of civic authorities. A mismanagement or wastage may also take place at levels of individuals. All of us knowingly or unknowingly waste water. Now next comes there are three steps by which we can take the proper management of water. First is rainwater harvesting, second Bawaris, third drip irrigation. What is rainwater harvesting? Rainwater harvesting is the process of collecting the rainwater which used to run off from the roof, tops, parks, roads, etc. This collected water is used to store for future use. It is recharged to the groundwater to reuse the water. Instead of letting the rainwater go run off and go waste, it is basically stored in rainwater tanks. Now here we can see that raindrops are falling. Oops, sorry. What's happening? What is this bone? Okay, so let's just have a small recap again. Like something went wrong with this. Okay, so we learned about infiltration and how depletion of water table occurs. If any question, do please add in the comment section below. Okay, so we learned about deforestation. If any question and deforestation, do ask me. Here we learned about everything. Any question, do ask. I repeat, any question, do ask me. Now, we were learning about rainwater harvesting. Here we can see that water, raindrops falling, and through a pipe it is flowing and it is being stored in a tank. Now then that tank, when it is full, then it will be used for the future. Next comes what is Bavaris. Now these are basically built by the people of olden times for storing rainwater. When it rains, the rainwater accumulates these tanks, and because these tanks are very deep, the water does not evaporate very easily. These are not only deep, but it is also very big in size. And this water can be used during times of water shortage. The Bavaris are deep well dug in the ground, which have steps to reach the water stored. Now in English, it is known as steep well. Here we can see an image. Now what is drip irrigation? It is the most efficient water and nutrient delivery system for growing crops. It delivers water and nutrients directly to the plant's root zone, in the right amount at the right time, so each plant gets exactly what it needs when it needs and to grow optimally. Now here in this image that we can see, there is a pipe and there is a hole and water is flowing through it, and water is dropping continuously. It is falling like there is a small plant at present. Okay, if any question in drip irrigation, do ask me in the comment section below. The next is water wise habits. What we can do alone at our house right now and start it. Now we just need to turn off the tap while brushing, shaving, and washing hands, and then we need to open when it is needed. And then we need to use mug and water in the bucket for bathing instead of using showers. Then we need to mop the floor instead of washing, irrigate potted plants with used water for cooking rice and dal in the kitchen while cooking. Now, we also need to check that no tap or pipe is leaking. Now, what will be the effect of water scarcity on plants? Now, we all grow plants in pots in our homes. Now, these are called potted plants. The potted plants are watered regularly. If the potted plants are not watered even for a few days, the plants will wilt. Now, this is a new word for all of us. What is the meaning of wilt? Wilt means to become limp and ultimately dry up. If potted plants are not given water for a considerable time, they will die. Thus, sufficient water is essential for maintaining the life of plants. Now, plants need water to obtain nutrients from the soil and to make the process of photosynthesis, which we learned in class 6 and also learned in class 7 in chapter number 1. Next comes effects of water scarcity, basically on plants. It is the same topic which we learned in the previous slide. Now, water scarcity will affect nutrient uptake from the soil by the plants. Then the rate of oxygen will decline, so oxygen involved will be less. Then rate of transpiration will also decline. So water vapors released in the atmosphere, but transpiration will be less. Then it will again disturb the water cycle. Now, we all can see that everything is dependent upon each other. Now, if the plants are not getting water, then there will be a decline of transpiration. Water vapor will be not there and it will disturb the water cycle. Then everything is connected. Now, I have a small quiz right now here before the studies. Now, please write in the comment section below what you understand by seeing this image. What you understand, what is it all about? It is a drought basically, we all know. Just write how drought occurs. Next, it is quiz time. I have some fill in the blanks for you all. I'm reading them. You can simply pause the video, write in the comment section below before saying the answers. People obtain groundwater through dash and dash. Second, the water-bearing layer of the earth is dash. The process of water seepage into the ground is called what? It is very simple. Dash is a simple, like a problem faced only by people living in rural areas. If you are having problem in this fourth one, you can simply go back, see my video once again, and you will understand it easily. And what was the traditional way of collecting water? Now let's see the answers. The answers is people obtain groundwater through tube well and hand pump. The water-bearing layer of the earth is aquifer. The process of water seepage into the ground is called infiltration. Water shortage is the problem faced only by people living in rural areas. Number Wari was the traditional way of collecting water.